game falls in the woods, and it's not on PC or mainstream consoles. Did it ever get released? We'll see if we hear a tree falling in the future, but for now, Food Fight Culinary Combat has crashed onto the VCS in a big way, as a rare exclusive title and early access game in development. This is a kid-friendly game with food guns, maps get splattered as you play, and it leans into the kind of familiar local and online gaming that's been popular for years in the wider third-person shooter space. Culinary Combat makes a mess. The gameplay itself is solidly okay, with decent but not great shooting, plenty of game modes, functional online multiplayer, and a cartoonish look for its deformed characters. This reimagined Food Fight is a game years in the making. Initially announced in 2021 by then COO Michael Arst for a 2022 release, the game quickly went silent and its future seemed in question. It seemed like the game might be destined for the never-released pile, until last summer when developer Megacat announced a closed alpha preview for PC. At that time, the game looked pretty rough. In mid-December, Food Fight got a surprise early access exclusive launch on the Atari VCS. The game's clearly seen a lot of polish. That said, this VCS release is being called early access. Aiming and shooting feels stiff, on controller at least, and I found many battles quickly becoming a case of close-quarter combat. Maybe it's just me, but hitting opponents is particularly tough in Food Fight. I should note I'm terrible at first and third-person shooters, so you may be a lot better at the game and get more out of it. Things got easier once I realized the game wanted me to aim for everyone's Peanuts-style enlarged heads, but even so I did pretty terrible. Whether you like Food Fight Culinary Combat will depend a lot on how you feel about online third-person shooters. There are numerous weapon-style power-ups, many of which are superior to the default tomato launcher you get. Some lay traps and AoE effects, others shoot clusters of bullets and take out opponents quickly. I found the shotgun-style weapons best, although there's a machine gun-style launcher that seems overpowered and some interesting ricochet weapons and bombs. There are 4 game modes, following along standard multiplayer shooter lines. Cookie Collector has you gathering cookies from fallen opponents, most cookies wins. King of the Cone is a capture the flag style mode, Buffet Brawl is a basic deathmatch, and Crumble is a Fortnite-style last-person standing mode, where the map crumbles over time. Hosting an online game gives you options about time, teams or not, friends or public, bot difficulty, and more. Bots will fill in player spaces for every game. You currently can't see anyone else's online game name when matchmaking or inside of each match. This may be related to the game's plan to stay family-friendly even online. It makes organizing private matches somewhat difficult, and it gives the online mode a generally generic feeling where you only kind of feel like you're playing against others. Sometimes it's more noticeable than other times, depending on real group size. Every match gets you coins to spend on unlocks in the Overworld. The Overworld itself gives you places to go and Atari-themed things to talk to, although the whole thing is somewhat unnecessary. This could be a menu. However, you'd miss the chance to go into a virtual arcade and play weirdly slow and clunky versions of famous Atari games, both arcade and 2600. You unlock them with the coins you get for playing. There are numerous achievements in the game, including from these arcade games, and achievement unlockers will find a lot to love. It makes sense to release this current version of Food Fight on the VCS as a timed exclusive, but I think what we're actually seeing is essentially a beta, an early look at a game in development whose future is somewhat unclear, and is not yet released to the wider PC and console market, where larger numbers of people might see and play it. It's hard to really know what to think about Food Fight Culinary Combat. Do I like it? No, not really, but it's not bad either. Getting online and playing with friends is fine. While it's a shooter, it's a kid-friendly one, so this could be a good local option for wider groups of gamers if you have multiple controllers in the house. Food Fight Culinary Combat has basically nothing other than thematic elements to do with the original arcade and 7800 released original version of the game. The arcade food fight in-game is fairly terrible. Thankfully, the 7800 version of Food Fight is available on the VCS and is highly recommended. It's hard to imagine Food Fight Culinary Combat finding an audience persistent and large enough to take off in the competitive online multiplayer space. You have to wonder what its future is, really. That said, there's nothing like it on the VCS, and it's a solid online multiplayer game, of which there are very few available. You can also play with an attached mouse and keyboard, which may be the way to go. The game doesn't support the classic controller. The cost is $15 on the VCS for now. I'm sometimes asked to start giving these games a score, and in general I find that difficult, but I'd say I give Culinary Combat a C or C- in general, but an A- as a choice on the VCS, due to it being a to-date rare exclusive game that's generally decent. It is, however, a must-buy if you're looking for online multiplayer gaming in Atari OS. Thanks for watching. I'm heading to the Avian Knights tournament next weekend as I write this, so wish me luck, and maybe I'll see you either there or online for the live stream. Like the channel to help spread the word, and subscribe to get these videos in your feed. Have fun!